Production video for Greenhouse Management by Jordan Gossett and Brady Meese.
To start the semester off, August 16th through the 21st, we potted 60 plugs of each Gerber daisy, succulent, chrysanthemum, dianthus, snapdragon, and echinacea, as well as 600 poinsettias. Each crop had different cultivars with a variety of colors. These plugs were generously donated by 2 separate nurseries.
The next thing we did in the semester through August 23rd and August 28th was set up the irrigation system that we would use to water our crops. And to do this, we cut polyhose along each row of crops, and then we would punch 2 holes every 12 inches to each hose in order to attach the drip emitter to attach to each crop. And then we would activate the irrigation system 3 times a week for 5 minutes, but eventually we would change to watering each crop every day just to ensure that each crop got enough water. And then whenever we would come visit the greenhouse, we would also spot water if we saw a crop that was being underwatered.
We fertilized throughout the entire semester with 100 ppm nitrogen of a 15-5-15 calcium magnesium blend, and we put this in the dosatron so that it would be evenly distributed throughout to the plants when irrigated.
And then at this point in the semester, each group was assigned a different crop to look after each week. And every Friday, we would take EC and pH measurements just to ensure that each crop was in its specified range for EC and pH. And in order to do this, we would take 3 plants each week from our designated crop. And we would ensure that the soil was saturated in order to take data on them. We would add 50 milliliters of distilled water to each crop, and we would catch all the excess water in a tray beneath the plant. And then with this excess water and water samples, we would use a EC and pH probe in order to take the data.
From September 4th to the 8th, we were looking after the chrysanthemums, and we noticed spider mites during this week.
The next week, we were in charge of nurturing the dianthus through September 11th through the 15th, and this plant we also observed spider mites.
On September 13th, we were pinching poinsettias about 3/4 up the crop before they flowered, and we did this to stunt the vertical growth and encourage horizontal growth of the plant.
After that week, we were in charge of nurturing the snapdragons through September 18th through the 22nd, and we had nothing to note for these plants.
From September 25th to the 29th, we were looking after the echinaceas, and we also had nothing to note on these.
The next week, we were in charge of nurturing the poinsettias through October 2nd to the 23rd, and in this process, we would just pluck off dead leaves and make sure that the crops were growing healthy after we pinched them.
On October 5th, we applied Psychocell to the poinsettias as a plant growth regulator, and for every 5.6 gallons of water, we used 80 milliliters of PGR, and I believe we put 4 cups on each plant.
The class before our first plant sale, we printed out stickers to put on all of our plants, excluding the poinsettias, because we were not going to be selling the poinsettias in our first sale. And these stickers just designated that all of these crops were grown by UGA students in the greenhouse management class, just to let our customers know that their money was going towards our program.
Our first plant sale was on October 20th, and we sold the Gerber daisies, succulents, chrysanthemums, dianthus, snapdragons, and echinacea. And this was held at our greenhouse where we had our class lab. We also had a local nursery buy a few of our crops.
After our first plant sale, the whole class and all the groups were designated to watch over the poinsettias, since those were the only crops that we had left. And that was through October 23rd to November 27th. And we just plucked dead leaves off and made sure that the plants were growing healthy and flowering correct for the customers.
On November 15th, the whole class stickered the poinsettia pots. As said before, this was to let the customer know who was growing and why they were growing.
And then our last plant sale was specifically for the poinsettias on November 27th. And this plant sale was also hosted at our greenhouse. And we created signs to let people know where the plant sale was held. And we also had the location and address of our greenhouse on the signs so that our customers would know where the plant sale was. And that was our semester in greenhouse management.